Well, hello and welcome to this week's energy reading. It's for the week beginning the 14th of November 2022. And I'm Karen Turpin from KarenTurpin.com. I sat down to write a few notes of what I wanted to talk to you about today and kind of thought that I was finished with those. And then I had to pop out. So I went out and everywhere I looked, I seemed to run into dragonflies today, which is quite cute. There's probably about 30 fluttering around my garden at the back right now. I've just come in. While I was out driving around, I had to stop at a shop and a dragonfly flew and landed on my hand. I also went to Pilates this morning and saw a lady there with a dragonfly on her back, and I thought, wow, it's everywhere around me is dragonflies. I've just actually rescued one from this room just before I started doing this recording, and put him back outside. So I thought, well, clearly dragonflies are everywhere, so I need to be looking at that because there may be a message there. I'm going to read to you a few notes that I pulled out from looking up what dragonflies meant, because it's perfectly connected to the energy reading that I was going to talk to you about anyway. Different perspective, but similar meaning. So, the dragonfly represents the breaking down of illusion. It conveys the message that life isn't what it appears to be. It creates the wisdom of an enlightenment process. It says that you are in the process of breaking down old structures. When you break down the illusion and face the truth, there's a shift of frequency that comes through the heart. It creates an enlightenment process that enables you to find emotional equilibrium and mental clarity, giving you resources to change your reality and fulfill your heart's desire. Isn't that beautiful? So when I look at that little message, I kind of laughed because I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, I talked about, in the energy reading, I talked about breaking down structures so that we can rebuild anew. And I was kind of going to try and find some different words for it this week. I don't want to be exactly repeat it, but the theme continues. And I do see still, and there will be for quite some time, the breaking down of old structure. So, we've been looking at changes in government around the place. Obviously, America are going through their big thing. England have had their big thing. And, this is all about trying to affect a change. And whilst we could say that politics is, two wings on the same bird, we're not actually getting much change. But there is some change happening. And the most exciting change that I see is that so many more people are waking up. And the last 3 years have been pretty shocking. And a lot of people almost have been forced to wake up through that process. I've been waiting for people to wake up for a long, long time. Many of us have, as you know. And I actually see that there's more hope for us now than there ever has been before, because people are talking about it. I walk my dog every day. As you've probably seen on my Instagram stories, I always put a picture of us up. And just talking with random people about things that come up. And I can kind of see that there is a wave of awakening happen. And that is brilliant, because for years, nobody would ever talk this type of thing. Certainly at the dog park, it wasn't the common conversation down there. So that gives me a lot of hope. But what I'm also seeing right now is that a lot of people are very ungrounded. They're really kind of out of control in a way. Some of them literally are losing their mind. You can see that in their behaviour. You can see it in or hear it in what they're saying, and in the way that they contradict themselves and then claim that they haven't. Now, we could look at media, and we know that the media is programmed and they are running a particular agenda on what they have to report and what they don't. But even seeing how over the last 2 years, they were adamant that this thing should happen and everybody should get this thing. And then now they're trying to say, well, I was always a little bit reserved about it, and, I thought we should hold back. And it's like, no, actually, that's not what you said at all. You pushed people to do this. And now people are asking for an amnesty. Well, let's just move on. We've all made mistakes. Let's just move on. So this is amongst the people that felt coerced and manipulated through that period of time. They're fighting back and they're saying, no, actually, you tried to control us. You tried to break us down so that we would give in and do what you said we had to do. And they're not willing to give up and just say, okay, let's just move on. So potentially there's this big kind of fight happening in a sense, right? And whatever's going on in these discussions, people resisting, people fighting back, people, not wanting to be controlled in that way. Energetically, that's, it can create quite a storm, let's say, in the field. So we're looking at people who have felt unfairly treated in the last few years. The other thing I think is causing major confusion for many people, but mostly children, is this whole sex education and transgender agenda that they've got going through schools, putting tampon machines in boys' bathrooms. And there's been an uproar about drag queens coming into schools and reading children's stories to kindy kids. I saw a report last week that a well-known Australian man is claiming to be pregnant. So is it any wonder why people are confused and they're saying, what the heck is actually going on here? Is that not all designed to confuse people? To confuse a logical, rational thinking mind? Well, you can tell me that it's not an agenda, but I'm going to say to you, it is an agenda. It's a psychological operation, an agenda, basically to scramble people's minds, I would say. And I can go into a lot more detail about that, but probably they take the video offline because that's what they're doing, censoring the truth. So I thought that was really interesting, that the Dragonfly is all about breaking down illusion, when actually anyone that has tried to bring the truth forward has been censored and taken offline. So I thought that was interesting. But what I'm seeing a lot is that people are, as I said, they're ungrounded, they're unsure where they should be. Their whole world has changed. The world has changed in a way that we can never go back. It's like we walked through the door and the door slammed shut and locked itself and then even disappeared. So there literally is no way back to the way that we were before. People's lives have been changed beyond measure, beyond repair. And people have lost people through this whole agenda. So one group of people are really discombobulated, confused. Some people are confused about who they even are from a male-female perspective. And other people are confused about who they really are because this illusion is breaking down and they're beginning to see so clearly. So this group of people we would call the awakened ones, really. And they're searching for a way to be in this new world that allows them to not be a part of the psychological operation anymore. And you can't blame them for that, can you? But they're searching for a new way of being. And they may have awakened, but they are not in a place where the external reality is supporting this change. They may already have broken down the illusion and gone through this heart frequency upgrade or activation. And when you get into your heart and you get those, the shift of frequency through the heart, you really do begin to sense and feel things in a very different way. This can make people want to only stay within their tribe, if you like. Makes them want to stay with people who get them, where they don't have to explain themselves, where they don't have to argue, and sometimes where they don't even have to hide away for fear of being judged, because that's what's happened to so many people in the last few years. And so it's natural that they would want to stay with people of like mind. It's the same reason why you like to stay with your group of friends, because you all get each other. But this is bigger and this is global. So, they want to stay within their group and not leave it. And I really get that. I like to use cash. I think cash is great. And I like to support local shops, and I like to go to local farmers markets. And, I would rather withdraw my energy from using these big multinational corporation supermarket places. I like to have that group of people around me. And I feel that moving forward, community, relationship with real human beings is going to become more and more important. I would love to have a community of women that we're all on the same wavelength and that I can support. So that's definitely what I plan to be developing more and more with my work as we go forwards. I think it would be lovely for us to meet in person and do a retreat, because it's great to have Zoom or whatever, FaceTime or whatever to meet people, but you can't beat being with other people that you get on well with in a community. So definitely that's something that I would like to work towards as soon as possible. And people have been looking for their like-minded tribe for a long, long time. This is why we've had eco-villages and communes. And then, of course, we have cults. Now, last week I touched on the subject of cults, and lots of people have written asking for more information, and they're asking how they can spot a cult. Some people are even writing to me asking, is this website okay? What about this group? Are they a cult? It's difficult for me, because I would never want to willingly let someone go into a cult. But I've got to say that it's my perception, it's my opinion, that's all. If I start telling you what you should and shouldn't listen to, then I'm actually no different than the leaders of a cult who tell you what you can and can't listen to, right? So, I'm very much about having your own personal experience of this. If you look at something, if you join a group and then you come away going, oh my God, that was a cult, that is your experience of it. I'm not going to take that away from you, but I might have a different experience of it. And I think this is the whole point about empowerment and trusting and listening, trusting your heart and listening to your own inner guidance. It's about you learning and growing. And, full disclosure, I've been involved in 3 or 4 different groups, which 3 of them I thought was a healing modality. The 4th one was more of a spiritual community. And I've walked away from those saying that those are a cult. And what I base that on is the way in which, because, to be clear, cults are not, firstly, they can be online. They don't have to be in person. You don't all have to dress white, and you don't all have to dress in orange and, bang a drum or whatever. They come in many different ways. I, again, would encourage you to watch the documentary called The Vow. And while that was a sex cult that hit the headlines big time, if you watch it, I hope that you would learn to see the psychological manipulation that goes on, because that really is the starting point, okay? The psychological manipulation. Interestingly, We've had the government try to do this. We've had, over the last few years, we've had Big Pharma, and we've had people that are software engineers tell us what we need to do with our health. And that is all psychological manipulation. So in a way, what we're looking at is a cult leaders trying to program the whole world. That might sound dramatic, but take the pieces apart and I think you'll see what I mean. So, people came to me for help. Originally, I've worked with a few hundred people, closer to 300 people that have come to me and asked for help to get out of a cult, or that they'd already left the group or cult. And what was the problem for them is that they couldn't stop hearing the leader's words in their head all the time. So, you might think that's a good thing, because when we join some of these personal development groups, sometimes they want to help us shift our mindset so that we can think better thoughts, so that we can become a better person. And we do that in hypnosis with a powerful transformation recording or audio to listen to. We program better thoughts into our mind. I'm not opposed to that. But what I'm talking about here is when you can no longer make your own decisions, when you don't trust yourself, or when you search and search and search for someone to tell you what to do, or you try to ask the leader of the group for his or her advice about what you should do, and then you take their word as gospel and you run your life by what they've told you should do. That's what I'm not happy about. I remember quite a few years back now, I kind of got interested in feng shui, and this consultant came and did my house for me, and then she had a Facebook group which I joined. And then I saw in there that she was saying, she actually told me this at our consultation. She said I should never move the furniture in my house unless I checked with her first that it was an auspicious date. In this Facebook group, the people would be asking, when's a good date to go to the doctor? When can I move my furniture? When can I move the plants by my front door? My plant died. What do I do about that? And I just looked at all of this and I thought, wow, how is this empowering people? It's not. It's taking the power away. And this is what I see happening so much in these online communities. The other thing I've seen, and this is part of, we could call it a hive mind, is that when one person gets an idea, it's like a virus. It catches, so one person has an idea and they say, I'm going to be doing this, and the next thing you know, there's 5 others doing the same thing, because they're so plugged into that group consciousness that they now can't think for themselves, and they're being affected by what everyone else is talking about and doing. It can really scramble their brain. In a way, then, this really becomes like a mind program, so that they're not independent anymore, but they're just following along with the crowd. Now, I could talk at great length about how these consciousness fields are created. I call them consciousness traps, and how that when you plug into them through these groups, what that does to your energy. So maybe I'll talk about that another time. So here are a few things to look out for. It's that kind of, you're either with us or against us kind of mentality. We've seen that in the last 3 years with people that you believe you should have this versus the people that don't want that. That's the mentality. You're either with us or you're against us. So that if you choose to leave the group, it's almost like you're excommunicado, like the John Wick movie. Like, you're not one of us anymore, therefore, no, you can't come in, we can't talk to you. I no longer have anything to do with you, because now that you're not part of us, you're less evolved. You're not as conscious as we are. I've literally seen this happen. I've experienced it. Another thing to look out for is that if you ask a spiritual question of the leader, and then you're told that it's a 3D question and I'm not going to answer that, that is a superiority thing. If you ask a question and you're told that they can't tell you the answer to that because you wouldn't get it, because you have not got that consciousness level yet. Look, I get that if you're a professor, you can't explain to a 5-year-old a complex math, process, model. I get it. But don't put the 5-year-old down by saying, oh, you haven't got the consciousness to understand this, so I can't answer your question. Just talk to them in a level that they can understand so that they can be raised up bit by bit. Don't disempower them. Another thing, don't be shamed. Don't allow a leader or a teacher to shame you, to make you feel shamed or humiliated because you asked that question. Don't let them make you feel dumb because you asked a question. And it's like, oh, you should have known the answer to that already. It's like, sorry, man, but, have a little bit of open-hearted, bit of humility. And there are many group teachers, leaders that behave in this way. I've seen it many times. And I've been on the receiving end, and it's bloody horrible. So when a leader has a superior than thou attitude, as if they're working with such high level energies that now they are, holier than thou, they are so superior, they're unapproachable. Being, if you are on a retreat with people, when the teacher or the leader won't come near you because you're going to drain their energy, my goodness, they're happy to take your money, but they won't interact with you. I'm very against that. They know better. They know better than you. So a leader encourages you. A leader that encourages you to do what they do, because that is an evolved way of being. So they might tell you, you have to be vegetarian, you have to be vegan, or you got to wear your crystals, or this kind of subtle manipulation about what you should do. And if you choose not to, it's because you're less evolved. That is rife in these communities. Really annoys me. And, I like some of these things too. It doesn't bother me if you're vegan or vegetarian, if you want to eat a beef burger. But, I like to wear crystals myself. But I'm choosing that for me, and I want you to choose it for you too. Not because I coerce you or make you feel stupid or less than because you're not doing the same as me. All of that, sorry, it's BS. These people, really, they shouldn't be in charge of a group, So I'm on a rant here. Do you like my rant? Okay. My overall message is choose for yourself. Choose what works for you. Don't be in a group where you have to conform with everyone else to be accepted. You are a beautiful, unique being, here to express who you are. I always say, here to express your unique gifts and talents. And how can you do that when you're made to fit into a box that the group leader thinks is appropriate for you or not, or is the right way? So there has to be some good things in these groups. You're not stupid. If it was all bad, if it was all manipulation right from the start, you'd spot that a mile off and you wouldn't be a part of it. You can see that, right? But these groups tend to kind of get you in first. They say all the right things and they offer you some good things. I mean, the healing modalities I learnt and the personal development group that I was a part of, they've shown me some good things. I'm not saying they're all rubbish and crap, but the more you get into them, kind of like in their inner circle, that's when the manipulation really begins to get much deeper, that manipulation. So now you've agreed to go in at a deeper level or a higher level, they might call it, and you've agreed to be a part of something. And we all want to belong. That's our human nature. We want to belong. I've seen leaders manipulate their clients through things like trance channeling. So they do a channeled reading for them, and so the person then receiving the message gets something that the leader wants them to do, if you know what I mean. So it comes through in disguise as a channeled message from Archangel Michael or Metatron or something, and the message coming through is what that leader sees for you, or would want you to do, or would want you to believe as well. And because that client, that person then thinks, oh wow, it came from Archangel Michael or it came from Metatron, it must be right. I've seen people change their whole lives then because Metatron said, and it must be right. How do you know she's even channeling who she says she is? She could be channeling Bill Smith from down the road that died 5 years ago, for all you know. Honestly, we have to get a little bit more discerning, shall we say, with what we choose to take on. In my one of my courses, we teach, it's called Power and Potential. I teach this energy filter so that you run everything through your personal energy filter to see if it's in alignment for you, if it's in alignment for your truth, so that you're not constantly giving your power away to all of these people who really often don't know more than you. So I've seen people be manipulated through channeling. I've seen people blindsided by what this channel tells them to do. I've seen people being told to leave their job, to divorce. I had several ladies actually in tears on the phone to me because the leader of that group had said that their husbands are lower vibration, lower consciousness, and these women shouldn't sleep with their husbands anymore. They shouldn't have sex with them. They shouldn't sleep in the same bed as them, because if they do, they won't evolve. This type of thing goes on, and I'm very against it. Oh, can you hear my dog going berserk about something? I'm very against it. It's very manipulative, and I'm all about helping people to trust their heart, trust their own inner guidance, to be able to trust yourself so much that you can live an intuitively guided life, because this is where the abundance is. You're living it the way that you're designed to live it, in truth, in alignment with you. So, these people that purport to know you better than you know yourself, look, there is some truth that somebody that's been on a spiritual path for a bit longer than you might know more than you. But at the end of the day, nobody really knows you like you do. And granted, you might feel that you don't know yourself very well, but that's the invitation then, to get to know yourself, to sit with yourself in meditation, to ask your inner guidance to show you what it is that you need to know, to sit and journal the contents of your heart or your soul onto the page so that you can read it and go, wow, that's amazing that I could, channel that onto this page. Maybe there's more to me than I realize. So it's an invitation to enter a journey of discovery of yourself, of who you truly are. And you might make mistakes on the way, but you learn from those mistakes. How else are you going to learn? At your hands, though, not at someone else's that you gave your power away to. Learning to hear your body's own innate wisdom and intelligence. Learning to know and trust your intuition, your inner guidance, that small voice. That is so powerful. That's kind of what I love. I love to help people with. I kind of live for helping them switch on to how freaking amazing they really are on the inside. when you do that, you will be guided to what's right for you. Your guidance always is right for you. It's never going to lead you wrong. It might guide you in a particular way so that you can learn something, but it's always working for you. The most important thing in the world, I think, is to really be able to tune in to your inner guidance and become competent at it. If you come across anyone that tries to tell you what to think, how to feel, well, that's a red flag. Anyone who tries to shame you for feeling the way you do or for asking a question, walk away, because that's someone there that's not there to empower you and encourage you. Anyone who tries to get inside your head so intensely that you can't even hear your own voice over theirs, you need to make distance between you and that person. And in fact, one of the biggest problems that people had when they came to me from cults is that they couldn't sit quietly in stillness anymore with their own thoughts and feelings, because the moment they sat down to meditate, all they could hear was this declaration of intention or this mantra that had been kind of actually programmed into them whilst they were part of the group or cult that they were in. You should be able to sit quietly with your own thoughts. It's a skill that you have to acquire, to sit quietly with your own thoughts, but you shouldn't have other people's thoughts in there first. You should always have your own thoughts first. So, finally, let's just say that some of these teachers and leaders that I have seen really behaving badly, I would say, putting forward things that are actually potentially detrimental to the other group members, I've challenged people, because that's who I am. I've challenged them and they've hated it. They've turned on me, they've attacked me, they've slandered me to the remainder of the group, etc., and whatever, what are you going to do? I spoke my truth, and my integrity is intact, and I'm okay with that. But if you challenge them because something is disturbing you or upsetting you, and all they do is attack rather than sit and explain why things are from their perspective and hear you out from your perspective, if they can't do that and all they want to do is attack you, well then what more evidence do you need, really, that this is not a kind, loving soul that is committed to your growth? So I've talked an awful long time today. I probably should stop now before I talk your ears off. But I hope that some of this has been helpful to you anyway. As I say, I'll bring it all the way back to the beginning now. We had that beautiful Dragonfly reading, which is all about breaking down the illusion so that you can see clearly, so that you can create the wisdom of enlightenment within you, raise the vibration of your heart, and be completely aligned with your truth, your purpose, and really have that clarity of what you're here for. So I hope that was interesting. I hope it was helpful. If there's any questions for me, drop me a DM. And as I've mentioned before, I have created some sessions like Energy Reading Debrief Sessions. If there's anything that I've said today that you would like to go into more deeply on a personal level, or if something's triggered you and you need some support around it, please DM me and ask me for one of these debrief sessions, and I'll work with you. My intention is to empower you. So anyway, hope that's been helpful, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye for now.